Hello everyone, welcome back. It's lovely to see you all as always. I missed you over the weekends. All right, so let's begin. Let's go straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state. However you do that, by repeating your word or phrase, using your anchor, or by homing in on imagining hugging your subject and all the things you love and appreciate about them. So go into that state, that beautiful state of love and appreciation. And now allow that light or energy to shine out from your heart. Feel your heart expanding, that opening feeling in your chest. Allowing that light, that energy, your power to shine out. Very good. Now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips, so that you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to fill the little you, yourself as a child, any age. Love that little you just for existing, no matter what. And allow that light or energy to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood and everything, everyone, every event, every circumstance in it, no matter what, shining that light into any darkness. Loving it all anyway, feeling your power. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill everyone who's on the call today, everyone who's in this session today, those on camera, those off camera. Fill each one with that light, that energy. Love each one just for existing. Very, very good. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed. And I'm going to check in with each person, but before I do, I wanted to share a little something extra that came up for me actually on Saturday. And it's something that I do naturally. It's one of those things that I do naturally and automatically, and I wasn't really aware of it. And when I became aware of it, I thought, oh, yes, I should share this. I should share this as a thing. So I'm calling it surging. And what it means is, so the way I recognized it or noticed it in myself was I was brushing my teeth on Saturday morning, and I automatically do target practice the way I teach you guys on inanimate objects, just to keep that strength, to keep that power and keep developing it. And I noticed that what I do very often is surging. And what that means is it's like a pulse of extra power. So it's like it doesn't last long because it would be exhausting, but it's that, so it's like stretching. Like if you stretch your arms and then you relax. So it's a sudden expansion, sort of fairly sudden expansion in the chest of sending a pulse or a surge of energy to something specific, to a target. And it doesn't have to be to something, it could just be a surge of energy in yourself. So it's like a power surge, you know, with electricity, which is not good for computers, but it's an extra boost of electricity. So I hope that helps. But if you practice surging, and if you're not sure, if it's still not quite clear what it is, because I've only this is the first time I'm explaining it, so it's not in the book or the course or anything, because I've only just realized it. But if it's not clear, you need some more clarification on it, or you have questions about it, of course, let me know. All right, so now let's check in with each person. So Sue, you're first up on my screen. How are you today?
Hi. Let me just do that quickly and just put that down so that nothing gets burnt.
You're cooking supper.
Yeah, really burnt the oil. Anyway, no, I was just telling Steve, I might just suddenly snap off, but I just got really frustrated with my husband. I mean, he frustrates me in general, and I know that it's me. And I think, okay, well, I know I'm frustrating me. And it was just about this weekend when it was really storming and we were driving and the rain was coming down, and I got so energized and so excited by it all. And so I said, oh, you know, take out your phone and film it. And he was like, oh, it's not even raining very hard. And like, just keep the picture in your head. And it was just like, oh, my word, you know, like, spark up. Be a child. Be enthusiastic and, you know, like, alive. And, oh, God, I got really annoyed.
Okay.
And even talking about it, I mean, now I'm not as annoyed, but I was just now when I was telling Steve.
Okay. All right. So probably one of the reasons you're not as annoyed right now is because we've just gone through the superpower exercise. So you might have brought some of the stress chemicals down, perhaps.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay.
So, okay. So this is a good one, Sue. And, you know, you're not alone. So this is a common thing, if it's with spouses or it's with, you know, other people, anybody, or politicians or things going on in the world. This is a very good example. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about. So the first one is the obvious one, which is, where in your childhood did you feel that same feeling, whatever that feeling?
Yeah, because the feeling is like, it's like I'm about to like pop, like the pressure cooker is just going to like explode.
Yes, I know.
Because I keep such a tight rein on all my feelings, and it's like, you know, like.
And I know that feeling so well. I can't tell you how well I know that feeling, that I feel like I could pop. And so that I used to have that a lot. So now, and it's one of the things, you know, it's going to be different for different people. For me, there were a few different references, including not having control over what happens in my world, and things being beyond my control. But so it may be different for different people. But the other piece that I want to attach to this answer before we go looking for references is also that there's the thing of, it's the bit where you said be a child and, you know, have a spark and that kind of thing. So this is a pattern that, and it's perfectly human, that many of us do, where we want to be whatever. We want to be kind, compassionate, loving, or we want to be positive, or we want to be sparky, or, you know, childlike, whatever that is. And, but we want others to do it too. So this is something.
Yeah, because it's funner doing it with somebody else. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Of course it is. The problem with that is that we can't make anybody else do it.
No.
So it's a case of becoming that ourselves, becoming self-sufficient. And then what happens is that either the people around us, you know, tune in with us and it affects them, we're setting the example, or different people become attracted into our world. Now, because the thing is that as you're going, be like that, you're not being like that in that moment, right? You're not being it because you're feeling something, you're wanting them to be
annoyed.
Right. And I've seen this so much on Facebook, especially recently with all the troubles going on in the world, where people who are loving and you know, they believe in unconditional love and compassion and kindness, but they're getting furious because others aren't being aren't expressing unconditional love, kindness, and compassion. And of course, as they are in that state, they are doing the opposite to what they want to do.
That
Get that? Right. And it's
definitely.
It's perfectly natural and it's human. So it's just a case of becoming aware. And that's the most difficult part, because as soon as you're aware, then you have the choice. And then it doesn't matter if you choose one or the other, but at least you have the choice. So that's the first thing, is go, every time you go, why don't they, or I wish they, or why can't they, whatever, immediately go, okay, so where am I doing? Am I setting the example? Am I being like that?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's an overlap. And that's what makes it so difficult, is that overlap, because, you know, it's like when you start getting fit, you start training to get fit, you have to wait a while before you're actually fit. And it's that moment where most people either give up or fall backwards, or, you know, lose faith. And it's because you don't see the results until after a little while. So you're busy setting the example. You're being alive and childlike and happy and positive and loving and compassionate and all of that, but you're not seeing it in the world around you yet because of the time delay. And that's where we fall off the wagon, because we go, okay, I'm loving and kindness and I'm expecting, and why aren't they? And then as soon as you go, why aren't they? You're off it. You're off the log again. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, it does.
Good. Okay.
I mean, you know, like, and I think it's, because I feel like that when I'm with my children. That's why I love it when they come here. Because then, I mean, especially Leon, because he's just like such a child in so many ways. And so we can just go and be kids. And I suppose there's a lot of sort of like feeling, oh, I wish it was. But then, you know, that's also what you're saying. Then I'm not being that when I'm thinking that.
In that moment, you're not being what you want to be. And so, and here's the thing, is that whatever's going on with him is about his program. So it's not conscious, it's not deliberate, it's just coming out automatically depending on whatever his programs are from his childhood. Yeah. So, and recognizing that can help as well, because you can look at that person and go, okay, so whatever's going on inside them, it has nothing to do with me. Right. And so there's that. And then, so that's one piece. Now the second piece.
Sorry, I've just got the giggles about something when you said that. His childhood stuff.
Okay.
Because I'll just tell you why. I mean, it's like a bit of an icebreaker, I think. Or you know, like it takes the thing off. A long time ago, I was really into fairies. After having gone, I don't know if you know Neisner. For other people, Neisner is
well.
Beautiful, magical, foresty area. And I just thought, oh my word, and there must be all sorts of little nymphs and fairies and stuff like that. So I got really into it. And I used to paint little fairies. And then I was doing something in the garden. And then I put my little fairies that I'd painted, little sitting fairies in the garden. And Rolf's mother and his sister were here. And then they came and they said, what are you doing here? So I said, I'm making a garden for the fairies. And they looked at me as if I had like dropped from some planet from somewhere else. And it just made me laugh, because it was so cool to feel like that. I love feeling like that.
Good. Yes.
But I carried on feeling like that. And then eventually they actually became quite, I think, intrigued and wanting to know more.
Good.
So
So
that's because
so that is, and you'll notice what you've just said there is a perfect example where you felt it, they asked about it, and they looked at you funny, but that didn't stop you from feeling it. So you held your ground, even unconsciously, you weren't, maybe not deliberately, however you did, you held your ground, and they eventually came round.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Now you just transfer that to your relationship with your husband in the same way.
Okay. Yeah.
And in order to, so that's the conscious piece of it. And then of course the subconscious, you want to make sure that you've changed any childhood references so that supports it. So any childhood references of feeling that feeling, and it may not be about being a child, it may not be about someone being relaxed.
No, I've got one already. It was, and I don't know where that comes from either, because it was that, like that, sort of like that rage, I suppose. It develops into rage where there's that incredible pressure that you feel you're just going to pop. And I used to sometimes pop because my brothers used to taunt me, like sit at the table, and because I don't like it when people eat. I think I've spoken to you about it before, and they used to go.
Yes.
Ugh.
That'll do it.
I used to just about, like, my eyes would just about roll backwards in my head.
Yes.
But where did that come from? Then I was about 10 or 11 or 12 or even in my teens.
So that's okay. So I would grab that and then check. Now, so that feeling, you can remember that now. Your brother's making fun of you.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Oh,
okay, God. Fantastic. Now, that feeling, is there anything before that? If not, it doesn't matter. Then you address that one.
I can't remember or recall any kind of feeling like that before.
Okay, then address that one, because that's still valid, and there may well be earlier ones that your subconscious can just change automatically. And if it can't, if it can't, as you try and change this one, you'll suddenly remember earlier ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay, even if you can't remember them now. So make sure that you change it. So what I would do is change it, do a stepping stone. So where they're doing that, they're making fun of you, and you go, okay, stop it. That's not funny. And they stop and they go, okay, sorry. All right. So that's stepping stone. Practice that 3 times. And then, of course, final memory is that they don't make fun of you. They respect you.
Well, it's already just automatically happened.
Good.
And we're all sitting at the dinner table and we are in hysterics. I don't know what about. Yeah. But we are in hysterics, like where you can hardly even get up anymore, lift your head, you're laughing so hard.
Perfect. Well done, Sue. That's fantastic.
That just happened.
Yes. So that means the fact that it just happened like that means that you've already changed quite a lot of other references, may or may not remember, but the main thing is that it was just one little piece that needed changing there. Now, so now you've got that clear, and you'll practice that new memory. Make sure you practice it consciously to establish the new reference, the new neural network. And now think of when you went driving with your husband in the storm and what's there now.
Okay, now, but there's another one that came up, which was when I was about 16, and it was during the war.
Yes.
And I had a gun on my, now I don't know why this one hasn't hit, and I can feel it in my chest and my throat.
Yes.
And I had a gun on my lap, and they were really annoying me. And I said, please don't, this doesn't want to change. And then I just said, like, if you don't stop. And I put my hand on because I had the gun. It was just a handgun. I mean, we always had guns with us.
Yes.
And I put my hand on that. That's really scary.
Good. Well done. Well remembered. Okay.
And they were shocked.
Yes.
They were really shocked.
That's fantastic, because that's a good, strong one. All right.
Yeah,
so let's look at it.
There.
Yes.
Guilt.
And which is why you can't change it. Why you haven't been able to change it. You will change it. Why you haven't been able to change it is because of guilt, because it's too horrible to comprehend what would have happened if you hadn't, if you'd lost your cool completely, or they hadn't backed off. Your brain is going for the danger. What's the worst thing that could have happened? Okay, so let's look at, and particularly because you have earlier references for people getting shot, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So that will have tied in there, and so that's why it's still very present. And what happened to you in Zimbabwe when you were kidnapped? Was that after
Zambia?
Zambia.
No, that was long after. Yeah, that was like.
So there you go.
10 years later.
This is the anchor for that. Do you see that? This is fantastic, Sue, because I know that you've changed a lot around that Zambian experience.
Yes.
The kidnapping and the guns there and everything. But I know that it's still been sticky. And this is the anchor that's holding
That's the anchor. Wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes.
So this is the one that's crucial to change.
Yeah, okay.
So in the first instance, perhaps a stepping stone. So what happened? So this was your brother's?
Yes.
Okay.
And my father had just gone to talk to somebody, and we were just sitting in the car. And I mean, like, I was on edge because you didn't know when somebody was going to jump out the bush and start shooting you.
Right. Okay.
Whatever.
So your stress chemicals were already up, and then they
yeah.
your buttons as well. Okay. And
Yeah.
when you said if you don't stop and you put your hand on the gun, their reaction, as you say, was shock. Anything
Shock.
else there? Just is that's
Oh, they were angry with me.
okay. And so what happened
Yeah.
next? Did you just not?
I can't remember.
Or okay.
I think I did feel, you know, I think they started shouting at me. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I felt really, really shocked at myself.
Okay, very
Guilty.
good. And
Yeah.
now the next step is what happened when your dad came back to the car. Anything happened there? Did they tell him? Did anything happen?
I can't remember.
Okay, so that's good. So I just wanted to make sure how many pieces there are to this that are different pieces of data. So for everybody else who's following along with this, if there had been an additional piece that Sue remembered, for example, her dad got back to the car and the brothers told the dad and the dad reacted, that would be a separate piece of data that would need to be addressed and changed as well as the rest of it. Okay, so there's two main pieces here that we have. It's the pushing of the buttons and being pushed to that point, and then it's the horror, the guilt, the whatever is there in your own reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's holding this in place. So let's do a stepping stone where you had the gun on your lap and they were teasing you and all you did was, okay, guys, now stop it. And they stopped and they went, sorry. So same stepping stone as the chewing thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the stepping stone. Practice that 3 times and then what's going on?
No, it's just like I watch Cesar Milan, you know, the dog trainer, and he just goes, Ch.
Perfect.
So it's like I'm sitting there and I go, Ch.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love Cesar Milan. That's absolutely perfect. That's it.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, and they stop.
Yeah.
All right. So that's stepping stone 3 times. And then the final memory is that you don't have a gun on your lap. You have something else on your lap. And what is it? Something nice, something sweet, a puppy, a kitten, a bunch of flowers, a toy. Oh, toy, you were 16. So something you would have loved. It's a phone.
I had a toy. Well, the first thing that came into my mind was like flowers.
Great.
Like a gift.
Interestingly, that was what was in my head as well.
Interesting just to give to somebody, my mother.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. So now let's make this even better. So
okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
So you've got this bunch of flowers on your lap. Your brothers are singing or just chatting, something, so you can still hear them, but it's different what they're doing. Or they're telling you something nice, something funny. You're all laughing again. And you've got the flowers on your lap. So there's nothing dangerous and there's no threat. And then your dad comes back to the car and he sees the flowers. He hadn't noticed them before. He went, oh, are those for your mom? Oh, that's so sweet of you. You are so lovely. So he praises you.
Okay.
Can you imagine all of that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you've got your stepping stone, and you've got your final memory. You're going to practice that final memory until it's really well established. All right. Now think to the experience with your husband driving through the storm and what's there.
I'm just in the car on my own and I'm like,
there you go.
Yeah, just really enjoying it.
And you pull over and you take photographs of the storm if you want to or whatever. So that's another stepping stone. And you may need to practice that other memory with the flowers more before you're then able to bring your husband into the car with you.
Yeah.
And again, stepping stone. So here's what I want you to do for this stepping stone and final memory. The stepping stone there is you say to him, like you did, will you take a picture of the storm? And he says, oh yeah, good idea. And he takes a photograph. Then that's stepping stone 3 times. Then the final memory is you don't suggest it. He suggests it.
Okay.
He goes, oh, you know what we should do? We should take a picture of the storm.
Yeah.
All right. That's your final memory. And do you see how those are 2 different pieces of data in your subconscious?
Yeah. That's cool.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, because that's going to be, that whole process is going to be.
Yeah, that was quite hectic, I think. And I think that was really good uncovering.
Good. Good job, Sue. Yay for you.
Yeah.
All
Great.
right. Thank you for
Thanks,
sharing.
Odille.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Enjoy. You're very welcome. And Tina, welcome back. I've unmuted you. I think you need to unmute. You need to unmute you. There you are.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm okay. Nice to see you all.
Good.
When I was home, was everything awesome? When I go out to the world, completely different story.
Yes. Okay. Very good. And before it was the other way around. You remember, I mean, in the beginning, it was being at home that was driving you crazy and making you feel not nice. All right. So let's look at that. So you say when you go out into the world now, it's not so good. So tell me how
before was the same thing, I think. It's like when I was listening to Sue talking with you, and I was thinking, okay, with me it's a little bit opposite. I think I accept everybody, but nobody accepts me.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a completely different person. They are all always the same. They understand each other, and I'm always separate. Nobody understands me, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I think I'm okay, but they don't like me. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So let's ask this. How do you know they don't like you?
I always say something and they don't like, or I do something they don't like, or...
Okay. And how do you know they don't like it?
They complain about me. They always say, I'm rude, you this, you that. So, I don't know.
And so in the first instance, I want to ask this. So you're Polish.
Yes.
What is the nationality of and the culture of the people you're around all the time?
Canadian, Italian, Indian.
Okay, all right. But so it's a different environment to where you come from, to your culture, right?
Yes.
Okay, so on just a purely practical, conscious level, there are differences in cultures that are and people don't realize it. So as humans, we expect other people to be seeing the world and to know what we have, the way we see the world and what we know. But that's completely, the furthest from the truth. I'm going to give you an example of in South Africa, and Sue will probably know this. And I grew up in South Africa, but I did not know this that this was the case until I was an adult. So I grew up during apartheid in South Africa. So we were segregated. So we didn't have much interaction with other cultures. And in the in Western culture, when you look someone in the eye, let's do this. Two people are talking, and if two people were talking and you wanted to get from this side to that side, in Western culture, and certainly in England and probably America, you would walk behind them to be polite, because if you walk between them, it's like you're interrupting the conversation, right? That's in the cultures that I know. In African culture, it is the exact opposite. So you've got two people talking. If you walk behind them, that's rude. That's like going behind someone's back. You would walk between them to show that you have nothing to hide. Okay? So you see, now that's okay. Knowing that's fine. But can you see the trouble it would cause if no one knew that? So you've got people walking behind to be polite or walking between to be polite, and both of them, depending on who the two people are talking, they think they're being rude or antagonistic or aggressive or sneaky or whatever. Do you see how those misunderstandings must have caused a lot of trouble, just that? And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of where in cultures all over the world where it's the opposite to what you expect. And I remember, being told that it was somewhere in Europe that it was when you meet someone for the first time, if you smile like, "Hi, hi, they think there's something wrong with you. They think you're not well in the head because, you know, they would just go, oh, hi, you know, because there's no. So again, it's just different cultures. So therefore, the person who doesn't smile, to the people who come from a culture where you smile means friendly and open, they think they're being rude, and vice versa, and the other way around, they think they're being just a little bit crazy. So on a purely practical, conscious level, it's good to realize that, because then it's not something that you need to take personally. It's just like, okay, well, maybe they just don't realize, you know, from their culture, it maybe means something. Now, that's a piece of it. That's a very small piece of it, but I felt it was worth mentioning for the conscious mind. Now let's look at the subconscious. Okay, so now with that feeling of nobody, they don't get me, they don't like me, that feeling of them thinking you're being rude when you're not, all of that, where in your childhood did you feel that?
My mom.
Very good. She misunderstand you quite a bit?
She never understand me. She always yell at me. Yeah, it's the same thing. But I think I was working on this little bit and nothing changed completely.
Yeah, okay. So let's look at that a little bit. So your mum, so you remember your mum. Now I know you've changed quite a bit of your mum. When you think of your mum now, anything negative left?
It's the same thing. Nothing
So
changed.
it hasn't changed. Okay, good. So now let's look at her childhood. When you think of your mum as a child, so imagine your mum as a child in front of you, what do you feel about that child? Can you feel kindness and compassion and love for that child or not?
I think so. Like you see, this what I don't understand why my mom treated me the way she did, because her parents were different, and I don't think so. I don't see this at all, that they treat her that bad like my mom treat me.
Okay, good. And so that's where that disconnect is happening, and that's perfectly fine. So do you know anything about your mum's childhood apart from that her parents seem to, and how do you know they treated her well?
Because I know, like my grandpa, he was so nice. My grandma, she was maybe a little bit more angry sometimes or something like this, but still,
okay,
they were much nicer parents than my mom. I'm sure 100%.
now here's something very interesting to home in on. As people get older, they change, they become more mellow, they don't have all the stresses that they had when they were trying to raise children. Now, your mum's parents and your mum, how was life for them? Were they well off? Were they wealthy and safe and happy? And
they wasn't wealthy, but they wasn't poor.
okay,
They always have money, but they wasn't rich, but they always have money.
What was going on around them at that time? In the country?
Pardon me?
In the country?
I don't know.
Okay. So because here's the thing, for your mum to be the way she was with you, there has to be something in her childhood. There is no way that she...
But I don't know that. I don't feel that. I don't know that. I have no idea.
And that's okay. So we just have to assume, right? Because here's the thing. If you, I'm just trying to think of an analogy for this, but if you get a plate of fried eggs and bacon, you know that they must have cooked it on a stove. You didn't see them cook it on a stove. Nobody told you, but you're assuming because they're now cooked, right? And that's not the best analogy, but that's a result from a cause that you cannot see. So the fact that she was the way she was means there's something significant, at least one or two things significant in her childhood. We may, one may never know what they were, but if there is the evidence of a person being anything but loving and kind, there's something in their childhood. There's something in the childhood. Her parents may not even know what happened. She could have been attacked. She could have been bullied at school. She could have experienced loss, unfair punishments, who knows? But
Like, I don't know, because my mom, she has friends. She was always happy. I mean, happy. She every weekend we had guests at home. So I don't know. She was. I don't think. I have no idea. So how can I know? How can I fix the problem?
okay, here's what I want to say to everybody. You don't need to know. You decide. Because this is not about your mum anymore. This is whatever happened, happened. We don't know. We may never know. You decide for your own good what it was, or if there was, or if there wasn't, or whatever. So I can promise you with absolute certainty that something happened to her as a child that ended up manifesting in her personality the way it did. But we don't need to know exactly what it is. We can't. We don't have the ability to go back in time and check. But what you can do now, which is empower. So here's the thing. If you stay with, I don't know what it was, but she didn't like me and she was mean to me and she didn't have a bad childhood, so I don't know what it was. You have that choice, but that's not empowering. What's empowering is to go, okay, I don't know what it could be, but there must be something. And so therefore, now I'm going to change it. Or I'm going to create something new. Does that make sense?
Yes, which I changed her childhood. I was working on this with Steve many times.
Okay, so there's still something there, and that's okay. So the her mother, was she very kind and loving and affectionate and warm?
She was to me, so I think she was to them too. I don't know.
Now that's the problem. You can't tell by that. You see,
yeah, so how can I fix this?
Just make it up.
So I did.
Yeah. So she was kind and loving. Now then allow your conscious mind to say, if she was kind and loving, if your mum had that love and affection and safe, she felt safe and secure and abundant and all of that in her childhood, she absolutely would have been different with you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
yes.
What's the worst memory that's still there with your, in fact, I'm aware of the time and I know you've got a session coming up with Steve. So we'll let him take you through that.
Okay.
And he'll help you find it and change it. Yes. Very good. All right. Thank you for sharing it, Tina. And it's lovely to have you back with us.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. And sorry that took so long. I had forgotten that that you have a session. Okay. So Chris, how are you today?
Oh, thanks. I'm very well. And I'm not wearing anything in my head. I've got my shiny slippers on.
Lovely.
They are like the, the Wicked Witch. No, the Good Witch.
Yes.
I'm the Good Fairy.
Of course.
There we are, to cheer us all up. I've been doing that activity that you set as a challenge a few weeks ago, sending love to an easy person.
Good.
And difficult. That was the homework I did do. I didn't do the other homework. Nevertheless, what I noticed is that everything merges. After a while, everybody gets the same love and everyone feels the same.
Perfect.
And how other people have, I'd be interested to hear what others have found.
Yes.
Question. What's my question? I think you've covered it a bit already with Sue. So when I was thinking of the difficult, the really hard, targeting a really hard situation, I'm triggered by someone I'm very close to. In fact, some ideas. I just think, well, if I'm being triggered by what I'm very much like, maybe it's me, I'm seeing something of me, some patterns and programs in that person.
Yep.
Therefore, they must be in me. So there's something of that sort.
Right, partly, and of course, if they're in you, they're coming from your childhood.
Yeah.
So does you could ask, does this person remind me of anyone from my childhood, or of any experience in my childhood?
Yeah.
If they do, change those. Change those first. And then for everybody, the way to do this is, what does this remind me of from my childhood, or where did I feel this in my childhood, or who does this remind me of? Whatever that is, change the childhood memories first, practice the new ones, and then come back to the current situation and think, okay, so now how do I feel when I think of this person, or I think of this event, doing this thing or going there, or whatever the issue was. Now how do I feel? If it's fine now, great, move forward. If not, notice what isn't fine. How do I know it's not fine now? How does that feel? Back to the childhood. Keep doing that until you're able to then think of the current challenge, and it's changed. Your feelings about it have changed. Then you can move forward. Does that sound good?
It does, and actually, it's just triggered an idea. So good. Thank you. Yes.
Very good. You're welcome. Good job, Chris, and thank you for sharing, sweetie. All right, and Monica's next. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Odille.
How are you today?
Oh, so far good, but I have since weeks, I have pain in my left arm and shoulder.
Okay.
And it's sometimes more, sometimes left, sometimes more the upper part, sometimes the lower part. And yes, I know it's that it's some emotion, but I tapped on it, but there's nothing changed until now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at that. So first of all, approximately when did it start? You said it's been a few weeks.
Yes. I thought about, I cannot say it exactly, but perhaps, yes, 4 weeks.
About 4 weeks. So what was going on in your life? What happened in your life approximately 4 weeks ago?
4 weeks.
Even if it seems completely unrelated, just if you remember anything. If you don't, that's okay.
I don't, one moment. I look at my calendar.
That's all right.
My daughter was there on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anything happened with your daughter? Any challenges?
And before the other daughter was there on the weekend, I always have a challenge with my daughters. Okay. Not they with me. They have children. The older daughter, she has one little with 4 years. The other younger daughter, she has 2 children with 3 and 6 years old, 2 girls. And it's always for me a challenge to be with these little ones.
Okay, so Monica, this is a fantastic example. All right, so first of all, sorry, I'm sorry you're going through it, but we'll get it sorted out. But I'm glad you shared it, because this is a great example. It's your left shoulder and arm, right?
Yes.
Correct? Okay, so because what we use as a guidance, it's not always the case, but a lot of the time, left represents female, right represents male. So the fact that it's your left shoulder and arm indicated it's possibly to do with a female or yourself, because you're female. So that's it. I would not guarantee, but I would be very certain that it's to do with this, with your daughters and their children. So let's have a look at that. What's the worst thing about it? Why is it so challenging for you? What's the worst thing?
For me, I want to be for them, but I don't have the energy. You know, when I'm together with the little ones, they have very much energy the whole day. And for me, it lasts until lunch, the middle of the day. And in the afternoon, I'm done.
Yes.
So I'm always afraid if my daughters ask me to look at them.
Yes.
For days, from until the morning till the evening, and I should be with them, and I'm then alone with them,
Right.
because it's so such a challenge for me. Yes, I've not the energy, and to run, I have also in my feet issues, so I cannot run very fast. And yes,
Oh,
so
so that's very good. So now let's look into your childhood. Where in your childhood did you feel that feeling of they are, if I'm required to do this, I can't do it?
yes, in my I lived with my grandparents from
Right.
when I was 7 months old. I was with them, and they always were working very much, very hard. And then they wanted me. I was perhaps 7, 8 years old. They wanted me to help them sometimes, not always, sometimes, and it always was for me too much.
There you go. There it is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very
No
good.
reason why. No reason why. I was a young, healthy girl, and
Yeah.
yes.
But so it wasn't physical, it was emotional.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and so tell me why you were living with your grandparents, if you want to, if you're happy to.
Yes, yes, no problem. My mother, she was working when she gave birth to me, and it was not so very good with my father. And I have a sister. She is 1.5 years older than me, and this girl, my sister, she was with other parents, and so my mother gave birth to me and left me then there in the hospital for
Very
7 months.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Okay. So
And
that's where that is. Now, have you changed that story at all, or is it still like that?
yes, I was working on that.
Okay.
But now I'm telling you this, there is something.
That's where the emotion is. Okay, very good, Monica. So what you want to end up with, of course, and if you need to change your mother's childhood, do that so that you were.
I did, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then so that perhaps a stepping stone where you were with your grandparents and they ask you to help them, and you say, I don't want to, and they say, oh, of course, that's okay. Or you can do that, and or where you're a child and you offer to help them and they say, no, you're a child, enjoy your childhood. And they,
Oh, yes, yes,
right? You
yes.
want that piece. That's a piece of data right there. Practice that 3 times. Okay.
Yes.
Where that's there. Now, then the next piece that you want to change is that your mum didn't leave you in the hospital. She left you with your grandparents when you were 7 months old, but only to go to work. And then she came back and fetched you and took you home, and you lived with her.
Oh, yes.
Does
All
that
right.
sound good?
Yes, very good.
So that's another stepping stone piece. 3 times, practice it. And then the final memory is your mum never left you anywhere. She was at home all the time with you. So, depending on what references you want to create for yourself, she could either have worked from home, she could do whatever you want to do successfully now, or she could have been a housewife. Whatever would have been whatever creates the best reference for you now that's going to support what you want to create in your life. Does that sound good?
Yes, yes, very good. Thank you.
So then practice that one as the final new memory. Practice it until it's well established, and then just think about your daughters and their children and how do you feel then, and just keep doing that until you're able. There may be other references to change, but you want to do it until you're able to think of the children and think, oh yeah, I can handle that. Right? So whether you are physically tired or not, that you are emotionally able to handle it, which may look something like saying to your daughters, listen, I'm sorry, I just, I can have them for a little bit in the mornings, but I can't do the afternoon, sorry. That it may be that, or it may be that you can handle them, or whatever it is, but focus on changing those childhood memories first. And then the way to handle this, the current situation, will come to you. And it may be that you do have energy because your subconscious may then go, it's safe now to be energetic, to spend time or whatever. Because at the moment, your subconscious is referring to all of that stuff, everything it meant that your mum left you in the hospital and with your and then you went to your grandparents, everything that meant, your subconscious is referring to that. And it's also referring to the fact that they wanted you to help them in their work and you didn't want to. So all of that is forming proof that right now, when someone asks you to do something, this is how you react. It's overwhelming. You can't. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good job, Monica. And thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
All right. And then Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
Hello. I'm okay, thank you. Okay. So with the preparation of the exam I have coming up,
yeah.
I'm feeling quite shaky.
Okay.
Well, firstly about like just doing the revision every single day, yes. And then secondly, I went to this course to like get help for the strategies for the exam, and I find it quite hard to be open-minded to them, to basically change my strategy. So I know their strategies will work because the people that they've helped have got like amazing scores. But it's just me like resisting to changing my strategies. So I don't know what's going on. Is it the subconscious, changing? Yeah.
So a couple of things. So first of all, how does it feel when the idea of following their strategy, the idea of changing from your strategy to their strategy, what's the feeling there?
I mean, I really do want to change it, but I just feel quite like resistance. I do want to change it, but I can't.
Yes. Okay. So that resistance, if you were to put an emotion on it, what's the emotion in that resistance?
Frustration, probably.
Frustration. Okay, very good. And one more thing is, what does it mean to you to switch strategies from your strategy to their strategy?
What it means change, and change for me is always something bad.
There you go. Perfect. So your subconscious is trying to keep you safe by keeping you from changing. Okay, good job. So what's the earliest memory of something being bad, change being bad? First thing.
I was thinking about it, and I think it's just my parents leaving.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And going to a different country, getting a different job.
Yes. Okay.
And me probably going to a different school as well.
Very good. And how old were you then?
I've changed schools so many times. Like, I started school when I was 2, and I've changed so many schools by that time. And I always had to leave friends behind.
Perfect. Okay, that's good. So there you go. So let's go to which out of all the schools you went to, which one would you have preferred? Like, if you could wave a magic wand, like you went to that school and you stayed there, which one would it be? Including the friend. Well, no, it doesn't matter where the friends are, because we always put the friends in that school. So which school?
Well, the school that I go to now. Well, I did go to that. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So so let's make sure that it goes from 5 years old up to 18 or whatever age it goes to. Okay, and so that's what you want to aim for. End memory is that you went to that school, your favorite school, all of your life, and all of the friends that you had to leave behind in all the other schools, India, wherever they are, they all went to this school. You all went to this school. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Very good. So everybody went to the nicest school, and you had them with you all the time. Now, let's look at the change bit. Okay, so we've done that. Now, any bad experiences from changing schools, or I know with your parents leaving, we've changed that. Is that still changed when you think about it? And it's okay if it's not.
Well, what comes to mind is me calling them and they're coming from the other room, like you said.
Good. Okay. Very good. All right. Good job. Okay. So now, any bad experiences with change in your childhood that comes to mind immediately, and even if it doesn't seem to make sense?
Oh yeah, my auntie getting married.
Oh, perfect.
She used to live with me, and then she had to leave because she got married.
That's perfect. Very good. So you want to change that so that she did not leave.
Okay.
She stayed. Okay, so that's another piece of data. Make sure you establish that. And then what you want to end up with is that you imagine, so create new memories of change, but change is exciting. Okay, so, oh, I'm going to a new school and it's Hogwarts or whatever, you know, oh, we're getting a new, you know, we're moving house and it's a much bigger, much nicer house. So, but change those other ones first that we've mentioned, and then create new ones where change always means fun, exciting, better.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. And then start thinking about the strategy. So don't try and do that until you've established these new references, and then think of the new strategy and see what comes up and see. And so you're aiming to, when you think of the new strategy, it's like, oh, yes, exciting.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job. You're very welcome, Swasti. Good job, you. All right. Is that that's everyone on camera? Is there anything from the chat? No, I don't think so.
I think.
Okay. So,
no, I think we're good to go for right now.
Right. And so if you could send me the targets, please, let's go into the targeting section. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer, and go into your superpower state. However you do that. And feel your heart opening, feel that expansion feeling in your chest. Allowing that light, that energy to shine out from your heart. And allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy. Very good. And allow that light or energy to fill each of the cells of your body with that same light, that energy, that love, loving each cell just for existing. Very good. Fill your subject with that light or energy. Love them exactly as they are. And then imagine they don't want to be with you, or whatever it is you admire about them or love about them or appreciate about them. They don't have that, and keep them filled with that light, that energy anyway, that love, shining that light into the darkness. And now, still aiming at your subject, I want you to try surging. I want you to physically feel that expansion in a kind of burst or surge of energy. Like stretching your arms, stretch your heart. And as you do that, a more powerful burst of light or energy is produced. Very good. And now let's go to Monica. Fill Monica with that light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, love Monica just for existing. Good job. And now I want you to imagine filling Monica's left shoulder and arm with this light, this energy, this love. Filling all the cells of her arm and her shoulder with this light, this energy, loving it all exactly as it is without needing it to change, loving the pain exactly as it is without needing it to change, shining that light into any darkness. Good job. Very good. And now to Tina. Fill Tina with that same light, that energy, that love. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Tina just for existing. Very good. And now I want you to imagine that light or energy overflowing from Tina, filling the part of her that feels misunderstood, that experiences being misunderstood. Fill that part of her with that same love, that light, that energy exactly as it is, without needing it to change. And allowing that light or energy to overflow from Tina and fill everything and everyone in her life, whether they misunderstand, whether they like her or not. Fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, shining that light into any darkness, no matter what. All the experiences, all the people, all the situations and circumstances. Good job. And now let's go to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Chris and fill the person in her life who triggers her with that same light, that energy, that love, whether they continue to trigger her or not, whether they change or not. Love it exactly as it is. Love them exactly as it is, as they are. Shining that light into any darkness. Very good. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, that love. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. Now allow that light, that energy to overflow from Swasti and fill the fear of change, whatever that is, whether she fears change or not, whether that changes or not. Love it all exactly as it is, shining the light into any darkness. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Swasti and fill her sister, who's in pain and has nausea today. Fill that sister with the same light, the energy, the love, exactly as she is, whether she continues to feel pain and experience nausea or not. Love it all anyway, shining that light into any darkness. And now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, that love, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Lisa and fill her friend who had an emergency health problem today. Fill that friend with the same light, that energy, that love, exactly as they are, whether the health problem resolves or not. Love it all exactly as it is, shining that light into any darkness exactly as it is. Good job. And now to Carrie. Fill Carrie with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Carrie just for existing. Good job. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Carrie and fill her niece, Nikki. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Nikki just for existing. And love the diagnosis of MS and MJD. Love it exactly as it is, whatever the symptoms are, whatever it means, whatever the future holds. Love it all exactly as it is, whatever's causing those conditions, whatever they represent. Love it all exactly as it is, shining that light into any darkness. Loving Nikki and whatever the diagnoses turn out to be, exactly as they are. Very, very good. And now to the person off camera who has feelings of hopelessness. Fill that person with the same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love that person just for existing. And love the feelings of hopelessness, exactly as they are, shining that light into the darkness, loving it all exactly as it is. And all the circumstances and references and events and conditions and whatever's there that is contributing to that feeling of hopelessness, love all of that exactly as it is, without needing it to change, shining that light into any darkness. Very good job. And now fill all the people who are on this call but are off camera, incognito today, fill all of them with that light, that energy, that love, and everyone who's watching the recording. Fill them all from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips with that light, that energy, that love, loving them all just for existing. And allowing that light, that energy to overflow into their lives, filling everyone, everything, every circumstance, every event, every condition in their lives with that same light, that energy, that love, shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now think of yourself later today, whatever you'll be doing or feeling or experiencing, love that version of you. Fill that version of you with that same light, that energy, that love. Love that version of you exactly as you are, no matter what. Shining the light into any darkness. And now I want you to surge. Feel that surging feeling of power, making that light, that energy stronger. That power. Very good. And surge again. Good job. And now pick one target that particularly triggers you, whether that's something in your own life or something in the world, and fill that target with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as it is, shining the light into any darkness, loving it exactly as it is. And surge again. Very good. Good job. All right. And you can open your eyes. If you have them closed, had them closed. And how was that for everyone? I would love to hear any feedback on the surging, if you were able to do it or not able to do it. Or so Swasti says that surging felt strong. Good, 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 good. Very good. And Carrie's given a thumbs up. That's fantastic. So hopefully that's an extra tool you can use. Practice that surging. Now, it may be a bit too strong to do a lot, but just whenever you think of it, do it at least once or twice a day. And hopefully you felt it now. If you didn't feel it now, let me know, or let me know if you've got any questions about it or challenges about it, and we will practice it again tomorrow as well, so you can really start developing this this ability. All right, so everybody, a surge of extra breath. Very good. Yes, yes, but feel that surge of power, like a power surge in electricity. Okay, Good job, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day and lots of love to all of you, and keep practicing. And Sue says, I often feel it. Good, good, good. Very good, Sue. You're way ahead then. All right. You're very welcome, sweetheart. Bye-bye now. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.